Hi, my name is Alle and today I'm going to talk about the differences between visiting physical galleries and visiting virtual galleries. Given the current global epidemic situation due to COVID-19, the whole world is affected and is currently undergoing quarantine. This means that basically any social space is unavailable to the public right now, including galleries, which are now shut down on an undetermined amount of time. This has forced me to look into virtual galleries, which I'm clearly not accustomed to and I've just started exploring. Initially, I found the whole concept extremely alienating, how will we be able to make justice to art, which has been fundamentally made to be portrayed into a physical space in a context of a museum? Exploring and analyzing this new form of presenting art has actually made me realize that comparing virtual galleries and physical galleries is pointless. They are such distinct concepts from one another, from the point of view of the presentation to the distinct ways of display and just in general the outcome. A museum has a singular feel to it which can't be put in comparison with the online experience. Still, I believe it can be an intensely informative practice just because of how on a website everything about the work and the artist himself would be so concentrated into one place. In a museum, often the information available to the public is quite brief or is just scattered around the various gallery rooms. This means you might miss out on something just because you didn't see it or because there's a lot of people crowding over it. This happens also with the work of art. We tend to pay attention only to what catches our eye, therefore something tiny can unintentionally be missed out. Even if there's a professional curator taking care of the presentation, it can still happen. Online, we have a chance to look into detail in any work of art, since each piece is given equal priority. And the information available to us is way more substantial than it would be in a gallery, and if it's not enough, we can just open a new tab, and there's infinite facts on the internet, so coolio. This wouldn't occur in a museum because we only see what the gallery decides to expose about the artist and their work. Personally, I never feel the urge to whip out my phone in the middle of a museum and search in further detail about a certain artwork, just because I'm there and I want to assimilate what's in front of my eyes and absorb its physicality. Also, you have the possibility to go back and look at certain artworks or content from the exhibition that once you leave a gallery visit, you wouldn't usually do. And in some shows you can't even take pictures because of the flash that could ruin the artwork. On the web you can take screenshots of anything you'd like to immortalize while simultaneously writing down information that you've gained from the exhibition and documenting more easily what you've seen or just keeping a record of everything. Sometimes works of art tend to be cryptic, so people struggle to understand what the artist is attempting to convey. Since it's online, this allows the viewer to go search up for the actual connotation the artist intended for his work, and there could be also a video explaining it, which occurs in museums. There can be video documentation of the artist talking, but it can be more complicated because of the distractions surrounding you or just sound malfunction. Furthermore, you can search up similar artists which come to your mind while seeing the virtual visit. I think it's essential to take into consideration that exhibitions clearly aren't permanent, which means that if you want to go visit a show you're interested in, you actually have to take time to organize yourself. Yet sometimes you don't even have the possibility to do that because it may be on dates that are not attainable with your schedule, or it just could be in another city or too far away for you to go visit. Substantially, I think the most positive aspect of virtual exhibitions and their experience is I got to visit shows I wouldn't ever look at and seeing categories of art I'm not typically fascinated by. But now enough of me talking about how incredible the virtual experiences are, and let's get down to the real talk. As I previously said, I don't believe physical and virtual exhibitions are comparable. Of course, you can't convey the complex wholeness of a work of art through a screen. Certain things like sculptures, they're just better in their physical form. And even if you experience them through a 360-degree visual, it just can't compete. There's still an element of realness which will perpetually be lacking. When you're in a museum, I think the artist is pushed aside because you're completely captivated by the physical work. An exhibition is accomplished primarily by the setting in which it's in. Therefore, it's not the work by itself, but it's the work with the set, it's the work with its surroundings and where it's placed, and the art that is around it. I mean, it may be even there to complement it or complete it. I mean, it gives it its whole purpose. Like, the environment in which it's placed can definitely make the art more effective or leave a deeper impact. Also, each room in the show serves a purpose. Therefore, passing each one would reveal more clearly the idea constructed by the artist. I mean, every time you go inside a new one, it's like leaving a dimension just to subsequently be swallowed by another. The size too definitely matters. I mean, some paintings can cover an entire wall and some sculptures can occupy a whole room. There's artworks that have various mediums integrated with them, so there could be a painting that only works when exposed in a dimly lit room with sound booming from every corner, or a sculpture that has to be exposed in a natural lighting, or a work of art that only works in ultraviolet lights. Also, things such as illusion paintings are only effective in real life. I mean, a camera filming it might not be able to capture the angle you want, or it just might not work. I believe visiting a museum for certain people can also be like some sort of ritual, because it's a social experience even if you go alone. Either way, you'll be surrounded by like-minded individuals whose presence will have an impact and influence you through the visit. There's a sense of unanimity. And also, you just might want to go to that certain museum because you like the particular structure of it, or because you give it a sentimental value and correlate some memories to it. I started off by looking at the list my tutor Sean had suggested, which included various artists. I found myself very drawn to Kiki Smith and Lydia Clark. While with Smith, I believe the interview included in the exhibition helped explain clearly the motives behind her work and her thought process, I found myself wanting to know more about Clark. Her exhibition at MoMA, The Abandonment of Art, was compelling, and I felt the need to explore further. So I went on YouTube to look for other interviews or art critiques talking about her, curious to know in deeper depth analysis of her life and details of her thought process, along with her development as an artist. My research to find out more might not have happened if it had been at an exhibition in a museum rather than online, proving to me that this occurred because of the facility of viewing additional information in the instant on the internet. Subsequently, I decided to look at the list of London exhibitions provided by the Art Monthly site. The British Museum collection presented a prints and drawings virtual gallery which varies between the Old Masters, as they called them, therefore works by Edgar Degas, Francisco Goya, Michelangelo, and Albrecht Dürer. Obviously, these are notorious artists, but it's always interesting to look back and reobserve their creations. The Prints and Drawings Virtual Gallery additionally included a collection of modern and contemporary artists, whose names for the most part are to me unknown, which were interesting to look through. You can clearly see a contrast between the styles of each artist alone, and if you click on the image it increases in size, and below you have the title of the artist, year of production, and the artwork and brief description. Another feature offered by the British Museum are podcasts. They cover almost all the material available at the museum while discussing and analyzing it. The podcasts vary between 45 minutes to almost an hour of conversation between professionals. I've just started out this year to listen to podcasts, so this is definitely a feature I'm interested in delving into deeper. The National Portrait Gallery, which although I've lived in London for the last 2 years, I've never visited in person, gives the online viewers an opportunity to look into virtual interactive experiences involving rooms of the museum. So for example, this is the virtual tour of room 29, including works from Gwen John, Aubrey Birdsley, Augustus Edward John, and many more. You can move around with the mouse freely, exploring the room or using the arrows beneath that will transport you to each work one at a time. If you click on the artwork, a little window opens up, giving you the possibility to open an external link with further information about the artist and their creation. In my own practice, I've been recently extremely attracted to drawing faces of all kinds, so was thrilled to discover they have most of their torso sculptures in 360-degree angles, so you can study each and zoom in for any detail. These features have most likely been on their site for years, but are now definitely being used with more frequency than ever, and people such as myself are discovering them for the first time. The Whitechapel Gallery presents the collaborative of Artist Film International, which features film, video, and animation around the world. Their page gives you a list from A to Z of all the participating venues, so if you're a cinephile like me, this is an intriguing item to check out. Lastly, I was about to forget, just like the National Portrait Gallery, even the British Museum collection displayed some events which, if it wasn't for quarantine, I would have perhaps never visited. I think this is definitely the greatest feature of the online virtual galleries, the way it's available to basically anyone and therefore would reach a vaster public, giving people the opportunity to see things they might have not at any time observed otherwise. Obviously it's not like the real thing, but it's still something. Hi, it's Alle. My neck just cracked. Alright, hit it. Exploring and oh my god, that sounded like creepy as a kid. It's pointless. They have art. Me. I don't like there's too many it's, bro.
It.
Furthermore. Never mind. Sorry. It sounds like the start of a really sad campaign. So if you go. Sorry. And I need to drink water. Visiting the virtual visit. Typically fascinated by, because I'm an uncultured swine. That was too creepy. Of course you can't complete the it's still social as an event. Up. Of course you can't convey a complex contact from the possible. My bad. I have noticed we have to start that again.